Ladies and gentlemen, today we are making an announcement that I could probably overstate the amount of hype I want there to be for this till the frickin' cows come home. But this is something that, in one form or another, I have wanted to happen for my entire YouTube career. And we are here announcing it after having been discussing it behind the scenes and trying to figure out how to make it happen for about the entirety of this year, I would say. Um, the first ever Modular Media Summit will be taking place this November in my home of Greenville, South Carolina. My actual home, in fact, because Boingo Rider and Snowcone83, my two compatriots in modular media, will be coming up here to spend an entire week with me. Yeah, I don't know how they can bring themselves to do it either, but they will be helping to create tons of content for the modular media channel and our own channels. And then at the end of the week, we will be going to, assuming it doesn't get canceled because of COVID-19, the Retro Toy Convention that will be happening on the November 21st and 22nd weekend at the Embassy Suites in Vaudreuil. You will be able to come up and say hi to us, though we'll all probably be masked up and wanting to maintain social distancing. But you can get an elbow touch. You can get a nice little distance picture. But that's really just a small part of this, because the primary part, I'm stuttering because I'm so excited to be talking about this finally. The primary part of this is going to be a week of us getting up every morning and doing nothing but making content for you people. We will be recording multiple very long, very in-depth videos on some of our favorite things. We will be collabing on various smaller projects. We'll be doing a ton of evergreen sort of promos and production for modular media itself. And we will be doing nightly streams up until the weekend of Retro Toy Con on this channel. It's going to be absolutely insane. I'm going to try and bring as much content out of this thing because I'm going to be vlogging almost the entire time, especially during the parts where I'm going to try and get these guys out to some cool local toy and comic book stores and restaurants and whatnot around this area. And just all kinds of awesome plans are flowing about that we'll be revealing gradually to you more in the days and weeks and couple of months that are to come, because we are currently 2 months out from this thing. It will be beginning on November that I'm trying to get to my calendar, November the 15th, and it will be going up until the 23rd. Or I'm sorry, it'll be beginning on the 14th, because that's the day you guys are going to be driving up, and you will be getting here in the middle of the day, and then you'll be leaving the morning of the 23rd. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say for right now to hype it up without just repeating stuff and going into hyperbole on my part. So I'm going to throw it over to Boingo Rider, who can now talk about sort of his feelings and his excitement for this up-and-coming event.
I have feelings. I have some excitement.
Oh, wow.
I promise nothing and will probably deliver less. Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool with a bunch of shit planned to do. Here's the thing: I go with the flow 99% of the time. So I have ideas, and I've been putting them forth. But we get to them.
Yeah, we've been writing down a lot of ideas and trying to keep track of things. But really, I'm so excited for this because the original idea behind modular media was us two guys. We really enjoyed talking to each other and working together, and we wanted to be able to do that on a regular basis. We wanted to get to the point where we were in the same place and we could reach out to other people and help them and collab with them. And this is kind of the first stepping stone towards actually doing that. This podcast is sort of a prototype. the summit, in my mind, is going to be the first real test. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's why I'm excited that it's not just going to be me and Boingo messing around for a whole week. Snowcone, you're going to be there too. What kind of stuff are you looking forward to about this?
I get to drive my car on my first road trip that I drive my car on.
Way.
And that's how to properly word that. I don't know. I'm always excited. It sounds like a actual vacation, but it's a movement in a different direction. And I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited just to do it. It'll also probably be my first like toy convention since the last one that was going to be my first one got canceled because of COVID.
Oh dear. And I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen to this convention. I mean, it's still entirely a possibility, but the last time I talked to the guys who are running it, and remember, this convention is run by the same people who own Toy Federation, the toy store I go to pretty regularly. They were like, yeah, we probably will have precautions in place, but we're not going to cancel it unless like the local government tells us we have to.
Good old local government.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm super excited about that con, but I'm also just super excited to be able to work with you guys because the way I see it, like I've spent pretty much the entirety of my YouTube career trying to find compatriots like you guys who I'm very like-minded with and enjoy working with on a regular basis and can get to the point where I'm working with them in person. So to now be actually finally hitting in that direction after about 7 years of doing this is kind of huge to me. And I'm really looking to this as sort of one part a serious business convention of trying to get a bunch of shit done and get it out, and have all this nice produced content for our viewers. And also it's kind of a big Viking Beast celebration of, hey, we did it, we've made it this far, and we still have a long way to go before we're at the point where we have Modular HQ and we're all living in the same area and seeing each other every day. But like I said, this is kind of the first real test, the first real stepping stone towards getting to that. So I am just super hyped.
I don't know, man. It's going to be fun. It'll be interesting for anybody who cares to watch and for any of us who is actually there.
Yeah. Man, there's not much we can reveal just yet. Aside from that, we probably will talk a little bit more in the episode of Analytical Fanboys that this will also be going up in front of. This will be its own separate video, but this will also be a cold open for the Analytical Fanboys on the Iron Giant. So we might talk a little bit more about the summit during that. We might just slowly reveal and sprinkle out information in the coming weeks and months, but that is to be decided. But the announcement, it's here, officially out in the open. The first ever Modular Summit is happening this November, and boy, oh boy, I just could not be more excited, and I hope some of you out there listening are too. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to Analytical Fanboys. I am your host, the Modular King of the Content Ring, the Vacuuminator. But I am not alone this week. Of course, I am joined, as always, by the... I needed to get the list pulled up. That's the thing I forgot. We finally figured it out. The back-ass word, Boingo Rider. Hello!
Okay, you're running low on adjectives, aren't you?
No, the list is actually quite long. It just happens that I only just now got to that one.
You read from a list?
Yeah, just whenever I think of an adjective that would be good for Chris, I write it down.
I've literally thought you said the same thing every single phrase.
How did I make a concerted effort to change it? This is my efforts go unnoticed. I'm not appreciated here. I am Do the show yourself!
He
I'm
spent
sure
all
the fans
day
will notice.
living over a stove to cook this nice dinner for you, Cody.
Well, at least it didn't get spat in my face, Chris.
Fuck you, I was taking a sip of water.
Oh, that's a danger, apparently. I can confirm. All right, so continue.
I think he may have left you for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
For a gag, for a goof, a giggle.
Probably just sitting there with his mic muted.
Very possible, too. But if he's not going to say anything, we could always talk shit about him. Like, who starts their name with a V? We did have that one history teacher who fled to China.
Oh, Victor Baresh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still friends with him on Facebook. He's pretty
I'm friends with
cool.
him
He's
on
back
Facebook,
in the
but I never
States.
talked to him.
All right, you guys suck at this. I don't actually know what you've been saying. I did leave the room for a couple seconds.
Probably for the better.
You'll know when you start editing.
Yeah. I'm assuming you were just dunking on me for like 5 minutes.
No, we were talking about a high school teacher.
What the fuck?
There's a weird story involving him, but it's not our story to tell.
Oh my god. Should I like restart the podcast? Because I didn't even start the timer.
No, fuck that. Just
It's
keep
all
going.
right.
Okay. Well, everyone, this podcast is brought to you by Modular Media, the worker co-op that we are all a part of. And this is something we want to start doing at the beginning of the show, reminding you of that and reminding you that if you want to help us out in the YouTube algorithm, you can give this podcast a like right now. Be sure to comment with your own thoughts on today's discussion when you finish the podcast. And if you're brand new, go ahead and give us a subscribe. Ring the bell in order to enable notifications and get every episode of Analytical Fanboys as it comes out, as well as the rest of our content as it comes out. And, we've got a subreddit you can join. It's r/modular media, and a Twitter you can follow for updates on the podcast and what's going on with it as it's happening. That is at the Modular Media. And don't forget, the Modular Summit is coming this November, the 14th through the 23rd. Oh my, it's going to be an amazing time. I am looking forward to it so much. You heard the announcement at the top of this podcast, but now you're being reminded of it again because it's something that I have been trying to make happen pretty much my entire YouTube career, getting together with buddies and creating content in person. So I am just looking forward to it so much. But
I am going to dunk on you real quick. You didn't introduce our other co-host.
Oh yeah, Snowcone's here. What the fuck is up, dude?
Yeah. I'll be honest, for a second, I didn't know what Chris was talking about either. So
I thought
I was like, who didn't he mention?
No, Victory is back. Victory Buster, who was on the Kamen Rider 01 spoiler cast earlier this week on Modular Media. If you haven't listened to that yet, go ahead and give it a listen. It was a really great, really in-depth discussion of the series and a lot of other aspects of Kamen Rider and modern media consumption in general. We kind of went all over the place in a lot of fun ways. So I'd highly recommend listening to that if you're at all into Kamen Rider. But hey, Kamen Rider's got nothing to do with tonight's topic of discussion because we are discussing the 1999 animation family film, The Iron Giant, directed by Brad Bird, which I think is safe to say is kind of a favorite of all of ours, even though it was something I personally put on the list. So yeah, this is a movie that I discovered when I was kind of in my late childhood, but enjoyed very, very much. I have a lot of memories of renting this from Blockbuster and Hollywood Video back when those were at the tail end of their existences, and watching it while I played with my Transformers. and it still holds up as a really great little story. Even after all these years, I was delighted to discover that watching it for this podcast. But I'm going to go around table, starting with, since I forgot to introduce him, I guess, Snowcone. How do you feel about the Iron Giant?
Yeah. Well, for one, I think it's a lot more than like a little story. Like even like the original author of the story, or the Red Menace version of it, whatever. Like I think just this movie as an animated movie has probably had a lot of pretty important implications for like the rest of like Hollywood and media for the future. There's things that reference it, even though one of the things that makes it popular is its reference to other things. But I don't know. It's definitely a classic, and it's something that like I mean I was alive for when it came out, so like it was just in there. I don't even remember the first time I saw it because I've seen it so many times. Like I made the joke last week that I wouldn't even have to rewatch it because I do it a lot, but I still did, and it always gets me every time. It fucking gets me.
Yeah.
Love this movie.
I mean, I was alive for it, but I was far too young to have known about it and gone to see it.
Right.
I was too much of a hyperactive little shit to pay attention to it. I thought it was boring the first time I ever watched it when it was like 2000, 2001.
Really?
Yeah, because I was a dumb little shit kid.
That's fair. That's
Still
fair.
is, but you know.
How do you feel about it now, though?
It's amazing and wonderful.
All right, this guy knows what good.
Question: which version did we all watch? I know which one I watched, but I want to know if you guys watched an original version or if you watched the version that like came out, I think, last year or the year before. No, I think it was last year. That was like the Blu-ray re-release that had a bonus scene put into the middle of it.
I watched the OG.
I watched the OG. Yeah, I didn't even know there was a new version out.
Do you remember the scene where he was in the junkyard and he had a nightmare?
Yeah.
What did you see?
Like visions of them taking over other planets and stuff with Iron Giants.
That is what they added in the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
So we did watch the new one. Okay.
Well, then I have the DVD version of that.
That should have been. I mean, how long have you had the DVD?
Wait a minute. No, that's not what I watched. Because my fucking DVD wouldn't work for whatever reason on this viewing. First time ever I've had a problem with this specific DVD, so I went and torrented it, and I probably grabbed the new version.
Okay, then yeah. Because, I mean, I remember watching... yeah, because it's something I super care about. Whenever there was news about like a new scene, because it was like new, it was newly made. That's why it was interesting, and I watched it separately, and then went and watched the movie with it in there.
Yeah, and I do remember seeing it and being like, "Whoa, okay, that was cool," but I don't remember that. But also, like half the time, I don't remember fighting the TIE fighters after escaping the Death Star in Star Wars until I see it.
It's definitely one of those things. I can't remember what was in place of it off the top of my head. But I do know, like, I was on the lookout for it this time around. And I kind of want to think about it, because, like, if I am not mistaken, the original version doesn't, like, there's only one Iron Giant, and it's a mystery. It's a mystery as to where he comes from, other than space. And I don't know. I mean... obviously, there's a part of me that likes this, that likes that specific part. I like to see... I mean, it creates more mystery, but not in the same way. Because, like, for one, like, without it, you know, we just know that, like, this Iron Giant came out of space, and he has these weapons, but it's a self-defense mechanism, but he did bump his head, and whenever he does get into the battle, he does, like... The bump corrects itself, but still, like, you know, there's still not a whole lot of, like, why is he here? What does he do? Whatever. With the literal scene, it puts all of that into context, and like it makes it seem like it was done for us, people who grew up with it.
Yeah, it feels like it's a scene for people who have already seen the movie rather than like new viewers coming in. But I mean, if it's a special edition release for a new Blu-ray that people who already like the movie are having it, it's being marketed towards those people. I can kind of understand putting something like that in, but also
I'm
it
not
does
opposed
damage
to
the flow of the movie a bit.
I was just more or less interested in like discussing how it affects the original versus now, like what it says about anything.
To an extent, it takes away some of the just pure essence of the Iron Giant, of like this one singular mystery thing. To the characters that know him, it is still just one singular mystery, but to us, the audience, it's hinted that there are others, and there's hints of the greater lore, essentially. Mm-hmm. But it does amplify the McCarthyism sort of themes within the movie.
Yeah, and like that, I'm for that as well. Like, it's just like, I mean, for me, it shifts the if from like, or the what from like, oh, you know, then what is, like, not of like what is he, but like what made him and why do they do this, and like then it does retract just a teeny bit. So nonetheless,
I always assumed, even before I saw that scene, I always assumed it was kind of like Doomsday is in the comics, where he was just made to be the ultimate weapon and go out and destroy potential threats to the race that created him, but will forever remain nameless.
But
I never got that exact thing. Yeah, like, thought about it too much. I knew that he was like this super robot, but like it was always more of like I guess I was always too enveloped in the character and like the idea now that you're presented than anything else.
Yeah, the alien world that we do see, it for some reason it just immediately reminded me of like the DC animated universe, like Superman. The Bruce Timm Superman cartoon.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that Krypton.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, that scene alone is just like cool. It's really dope.
But also, it never want. It just shows you kind of like a vague imagery of like, this is what he might have been. It never goes into like, and this is how he broke away and came to Earth. It doesn't answer questions. It just goes like, this is a possibility of what he is. And to an extent, like, it could even be seen as like, maybe this is something the Iron Giant is worried he is a all-conquering soldier of an army.
I mean, like, and yeah, that does add to that, especially just because that is after like them going through the comics and everything, and him deciding that he doesn't want to be Atomo or whatever. He wants to be Superman.
And I mean, like, that's the great thing about the movie, is it is kind of all the lore surrounding it is vague. It's very much just about this story it is focused in on. I mean, you can kind of fill in the blanks and say it is whatever you want to think it is. As a kid, I always assumed like he was an Atomo until he got to Earth, and then he got the bump on his head. He was probably sent here to destroy us, but he got the bump on his head, got amnesia from that, and then was able to have this experience that he has in the story.
So he's Goku.
Yeah, but I didn't know about Dragon Ball Z till much later.
Because that's literally Goku's origin story.
Yeah.
Side note, I do love. I grew up with a deep love for this movie and robots, and I've always loved. I forget his name, but I always loved the fucking scrap sculptor. And
Dean is the best character in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Dean.
And then through happenstance, I myself have gone in that direction to some extent. I do like sculpting with scrap. I like sculpting with other things, and I want to be a toy designer. But like that is something that I do and enjoy doing.
I mean, it's amazing how like this is kind of a cult classic movie, but Dean himself has like this huge following on the internet of people who just love using him as reaction gifs and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good.
Because I Googled this Google image searched the movie so I could be looking at stuff for reference while we're talking. And this collage that I'm going to have to pop up on screen right now, I'm writing down the timestamp. That is like one of the first things that shows up on Google Images.
Nice.
I mean, the story takes place in the 50s, but that character is a quintessential, like, animated male heartthrob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have this guy, you have the dude from Treasure Planet, and the dude from Titan AE. That just quintessential, they are late 90s as fuck, they are animated, and they are dudes, and people love them.
90s hunks. You've heard of 80s hunks. Well, watch out. Here comes the 90s hunks.
They don't give a shit.
It's us. We're sorry to disappoint.
You know what? Fuck it. We're rebranding. We're not Modular Media anymore. We're the 90s hunks. No. But yeah, Dean's such a wonderful character. He has a lot of great, hilarious moments. His design is pretty sway. I'm borrowing a term from Batman Beyond randomly.
I mean, he does look a little bit like Terry.
Yeah, I'm going with that as the reason I pulled it. And he also like very overtly says the theme of the movie before we actually even get to it. There's a scene where Hogarth is hopped up on coffee and he's complaining about bullies and his mom and everything. And Dean is just kind of like, why do you care? Why is this a problem? They don't decide who you are. You do. And that's like in maybe like 20 minutes before we get to the giant actually dealing with that stuff.
There's a couple of things like that. Just because they also they do the classic, like, everything Hogarth tries to teach the giant references back to him as he's about to make the tough decision.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, obviously this whole movie was made just so we can get that scene from Ready Player One where it's the Iron Giant.
I genuinely, when I saw that in the trailer for Ready Player One, I was just like, that just ignores everything the character's about just to have him in the movie.
Mm-hmm. And you know it only happened because Spielberg put him in there because he doesn't know what the fuck Ultraman is.
Ultraman's in the movie, isn't he?
Is Ultraman in the movie? I heard he and like a couple other Japanese things were taken out because Spielberg wanted to put some of his stuff in.
Gundam's in there.
Yeah,
I know Gundam's in there, but Gundam wasn't in the book.
No, the movie is whatever. I only remember the set pieces because I literally I went to that not giving a fuck about anything else. I'm like, I need to see that race scene, and I need to see Mechagodzilla fight Gundam and Iron Giant, and then I could leave. I don't give a fuck about anything else. I don't care if the movie's shit. I just want to see this stuff on screen.
And I can understand that. And
it's not the Iron Giant.
This whole detour is neither here nor there.
No, like.
But yeah,
in the movie, it's like the equivalent of someone dressing up like Kirby and murdering someone, right?
Yeah,
it's like somebody like. There's these different mecha that you could get like a thing for, and you're like, oh, it's like an item. It's like a pickup or something like that.
It's like a VR. It's like VR chat, but fucking.
Yeah. Yes. Battletoads and shit is also in that. So, you know, whatever. And Gears of War, like, what, all kinds of crazy shit is in that.
I mean, like, that's all well and good, and I like Dean quite a bit. But you know who my favorite character in this movie is?
God, it better
The
not
squirrel in Dean's pants.
No.
It better not be Mansley.
It's Mansley!
Jesus.
I love Mansley! He's so hilarious and stupid! He's like the best parody of government agent dickheads ever!
Except he almost gets everybody killed.
I've never liked
That's why I love
Mansley.
it so much. I love just the moment of like they completely break him. Where's the giant, Mansley? And then he's like, oh, screw our country, I want to live, and then immediately crashes the car like a dumbass.
Oh, he doesn't crash the car.
The giant.
Oh no, the giant stops it. That's right. And just go ahead.
I was just gonna say that even as a kid, I remember like thinking like you're gonna die for your country like the rest of us, and I'm like, damn, they're just gonna stand here. Like it's a good part of the movie, but like, I mean, I guess as like an older person, I'm just like, man, bro.
I mean, it's not like they can fucking run away fast enough.
You could try. You could try. You could like Indiana Jones it and still die, but you know, whatever.
You can the most unrealistic thing in Indiana Jones it.
I don't know. Ancient Aliens.
Should we put the fourth Indiana Jones movie on?
No, no,
Yeah.
no,
Yes.
please God, no. I really don't want to, but okay.
I saw that movie in theaters.
Me too. But yeah, no, I love everything what they do with Mansley. It's like some of the best. Here's this dickhead, but he's actually comic relief kind of villainry I've ever seen. Like it's something that I didn't ever see rivaled until very much later with stuff like certain villains in Kamen Rider who may or may not be actual gods.
No, he's a god. Pray to him.
Yeah, he is. A god.
As I say, while my icon is of this man.
Yeah, Mansley's hilarious, and I love how he's just this perfect anecdote for everything that's wrong with the idea of bending over backwards for the government and for the greater good.
And the paranoia of the Red Scare.
Yeah, and that's another thing to talk about, how like this is a kids movie and it works very effectively at being like baby's first introduction to those kind of ideas, because this was the first time I remember really seeing those ideas. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in my age group probably may have seen The Incredibles a little earlier than this if they didn't see it when it first came out, but I didn't see Incredibles until way later. And this is something I wouldn't see again until I saw that and also read New Frontier and a couple other things. But for a long time, this was kind of my main association with that idea and that period in history. And it's a great exploration of it and why it was kind of a horrible thing that went down. And it's an idea we need to sort of, almost ironically, stay vigilant against.
I mean, we're in a new Red Scare right now.
Oh yeah,
right.
It's just incredibly dumb.
It wasn't a dumb scare.
I just realized because I definitely know that I have the opportunity to make this somewhat segue and side tangent because of these two things are definitely related. Like, obviously, this movie is, among other things, this is one of the things that catalyzed my like deep-rooted, unmoving, undying love for anything robots.
Yes.
I
was looking forward to this part.
And I mean, God, it is like
like this RoboCop and Transformers. Like that's you in a nutshell, isn't it?
I mean, I don't.
And I
don't
mean,
like
all three of those.
Yeah, probably. Also, Gundam has to be there because it was with me as long almost. Because
really?
Because like when I was a kid, my dad knew I liked things like that, and he brought me home a high grade model kit and was like, "Here you go. I don't know what this is."
Bro,
and then I built it.
Bro, you had a sick childhood.
I mean, he was like, he didn't like help or anything. He's just like, "Here you go," and I'm like, "Well, this is in not English," and then I figured it out anyways. And like then Wings started to happen, and I was like about that shit, and I was like, yes. Also, Metabots, Gundam Wing, Transformers, Beast Wars, Transformers, Beast Machine, like all of the a lot of Transformers are in that. But the segue I kind of want to make is one of my all time favorite game series is Fallout.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the modern Fallouts. And my two first big RPGs were Oblivion and Fallout 3. Bought Oblivion because people told me to buy it, and I was like, at that time, I was in this mindset. I don't know, man. Dragons and shit's pretty lame. Magic's dumb. God, I'm so far away from that now because that was dumb. But like, I also loved the game, and I was like, well, I guess I was wrong about all of this. Let me be this orc real quick. But like, I got Fallout because someone was like, hey, it's like that, but with like robots, and I was like, oh, you got me. There is a character. I don't know if you know this, Vag. I'm gonna try to find a picture to share. There is a character. You know which character?
I know very little about Fallout, is what I was going to say.
Oh, well, let me first let me copy link address. Hopefully that'll work. Spoilers for Fallout 3 that came out in 2008, by the way, y'all. Let me see if this link works. Does this link work? Close enough. That's a weird Liberty. Oh, Jesus! What have I done?
What the fuck, dude?
I'm opening it. I haven't. It hasn't opened on my end. It's slowly happening. Oh my god!
It's a Facebook page that says Liberty Prime for President. Anyways, so while you're playing Fallout 3, which is a game set in the it has a 1950s. I'm not going to explain fucking Fallout 3.
50s post-apocalyptic nuclear future. I know that.
Yes, for the most part. Halfway through the main campaign, you find that the Brotherhood of Steel has had this like super weapon to help you fight the Enclave and everything. And it's a giant robot. And obviously that's one of the coolest parts of that thing. He's also obviously like has to be designed after the Iron Giant. 1,000%. Because like what Liberty Prime is in this game is he was made by the American government to fight the Red Menace. You know, literally. Except everything is overblown. He has mini nukes, like he has like warheads that fall out of his back. He reaches his hand behind him and he chucks them like footballs. Super stupid. But like the whole time he's talking, he's constantly spouting like he's like communism is like horrible, like better better dead than red, like shit like that. And he's just like booming, and
Damn.
like
he's just booming. Like some kind of boomer.
But like obviously like that's what I'm talking about when like the Iron Giant is affected thing. Like that's definitely somebody who's like, oh, I love the Iron Giant. Let me do Liberty Prime. But I didn't really
Which
have
is also
goal.
a reference to like Optimus.
Yes. Yeah, he does kind of sound like Optimus Prime. But obviously it's pretty much everything that the Iron Giant is. Again, as the other thing I brought up was everything the Iron Giant isn't. I'm not sure if I said that right the first time. But it's still cool. Like his design, Iron Giant's design is just something. I mean, it's based off of old 50s, 60s, and before like sci-fi shit. But like his specific character, I think, is probably going to be eternal.
Yeah, it's such a simple and like very to the point design that I think was kind of tailor-made to become iconic.
He also looks like Vin Diesel if you squint hard enough.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is why it's appropriate that Vin Diesel voiced him.
Yeah.
I realized something while watching this. Is Vin Diesel the actor who has been paid the most for the least amount of words said?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Probably.
Between this and his Marvel roles?
And
probably.
And the fact that 50% of the words he says in Fast and the Furious is family.
Yeah. That's where I was going to. I love Vin Diesel though. Like he has a very specific niche, and wherever it is, he goes right there and falls into it perfectly.
And half of that niche is just making a movie about his D&D characters.
Yeah. But I think that's a good way to transition into. I think the cast for this movie is pretty freaking great, even though a lot of them were basically unknowns at the time, except for Jennifer Aniston, who plays the mom.
Other than your boy, I'm not really familiar with anybody else as far as casting is going. I'm looking it up right now so I can talk about it.
Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, Harry Connick Jr. was Dean. And you don't, like, so much of the voice work in this blends right into the character, and you don't even realize it's them. Like, I didn't know Jennifer Aniston was the mom until this week when I was doing research for the podcast.
Isn't Harry Connick Jr. Also a singer?
Yes.
That's what I recognize him from, unfortunately. Interesting. So probably at the time of this movie, I was also just listening to him, which is a little bit of whatever. I don't know. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Is good people. They do good voices, and I like them.
We've been talking about a lot of characters. We haven't talked about the main character.
Hogarth is definitely a cartoon kid main character. I like him. There's not a lot of nuance to him. He is just kid who's having trouble fitting in, which is the archetype of a lot of kids in movies at this time.
Yeah. I just found it funny that we were talking about everything else except him.
I mean, he is kind of meant to be like a vehicle for the audience, a sort of eyes in type thing of like, oh, if I was a kid in this situation, here's like the most generalized version of how I'd probably act. And he works as that, I think.
I'm learning something that's completely unrelated, but it seems like the guy who voiced Hogarth was also in The Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live-action movie.
Who was he in The Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live-action movie?
I'm trying to find out real quick because I forgot his name again. It was, but also James Gammon was in it, and it seems like at least maybe one or two other people who were in The Iron Giant as voices were also in The Country Bears. 2002 live action movie.
That's fantastic. I love The Country Bears, the 2002 live action movie.
I'm glad you do. Let me put it on the list.
I did like and enjoy The Country Bears, the 2002 live action Disney movie.
See, the last time I watched it was the first time I watched it, so like I remember it.
I watched it numerous times as a child, but haven't seen it in at least 10 years.
Because here's the thing, The Country Bears, the Walt Disney World sit-down attraction, is one of my family's favorite things to do. So there is a little bit of enjoyment for The Country Bears, the 2002 live-action Disney movie.
Mine too. And at the time, my Uncle Frankie had a bus similar to the ones that they drove, and I really enjoyed that bus.
I mean, you see Christopher Walken destroy a model home and shout, "Oh no." And that's kind of like one of the greatest comedic moments of all time.
And who doesn't love a bunch of animatronic puppet bears?
Well, I mean, for the last 5 years, a lot of people really love that specific thing, strangely.
Oh, dear. But this is not a podcast about The Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live-action movie.
Yeah.
This is a... Okay, Cody, you win the night.
I did put it on the list.
Good.
Good.
Can't wait to watch The Country Bears, the 2002 live action Disney movie.
Fuck. Is there anything?
Oh,
This is the worst meme ever.
What, you don't enjoy The Country Bears, the 2002 live action Disney movie?
No, I love the Country Bears 2002 Disney live action movie. It's my favorite of the Disney live action movies. I like it even more than Tron Legacy.
I just found a really good listing for the Country Bears McDonald's 2002 Disney movie McDonald's stores. That's all of them. That's a pretty nice find, I'd say. One of them has jean shorts on.
What the fuck, dude?
Well, anyways, guys, tune in next week when we watch the Country Bears 2002 Disney.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Ooh.
Holy crap, dude. So the Iron Giants, the animation in the movie, we haven't touched on that too much. How do you guys feel about the actual animation in the film? Any particular moments you really enjoyed?
I enjoyed all the moments. They're all really good. I enjoyed the integration of the Iron Giant CG versus because he doesn't feel CG, but there's parts where you can tell it is it is CG in the same way like the clock tower from The Great Mouse Detective is CG.
I don't know, like where is this? This is in Maine. It's set in Maine. No.
Yes. By the way, if it's set in Maine, does that make this a Stephen King novel?
No.
Oh, no, because Hogarth's not a writer.
But one of the Dean is an artist, so you know.
Dean is an artist,
but Dean's not the main character. Also, now I'm trying to remember if it's Maine or Maryland, because like part of me wants to say Maryland, but that might be because of something else I watched this week.
Well, I'm trying to look up to see if it is a real place.
I mean, it's called Rockwell.
Well, the thing I just saw.
Oh my god, that's right. Yeah, it's set in Rockwell, Maine.
But like,
oh my god,
Rockwell, as in like Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Right.
Because this is picturesque Americana.
And I mean, as much as like I'm not that much of a patriot these days, I do love the look of this movie. It feels very sort of classic and comfy in that bright, warm way that classic American imagery tends to.
Yeah. And like they got the colors really good because it's not like overly bright. It feels like a natural world.
Mm-hmm.
But just one thing I want to talk about, like just the character designs in general, it does something that I feel like it's slightly hard for some American animation to do, which is make a style that is definitively American cartooning, but be able to be taken seriously in the same way as like very expressive anime like Akira and Ghost in the Shell and Cowboy Bebop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like those anime have like a style that you go like, yeah, no, this is adult, this is mature, but it is definitively anime. It is from the same artistic palette. While the Iron Giant character designs in the world and everything is definitively, you see the lineage to American cartooning.
Yeah.
But it feels like a mature adult version of that.
I mean, like,
without diving into just Disney without diving into Disney character designs.
I fucking forgot his name. Do you guys know the name of the guy who directed Your Name?
No. Hold on.
I feel like this could have been a movie he made. That's kind of the caliber I think we're dealing with, because like I like his movies. I don't see them as high art like some anime fans do, but I think like they're very good, solid popcorn flicks. And that's kind of where The Iron Giant is it's not exactly a popcorn flick, but it's more of like a thinking man's popcorn flick, if you get my vibe.
Makoto Shinkai.
Yeah, this feels like a Shinkai movie.
Because here's the thing, when we're trying to divide and organize things, we tend to do it in like dualities. It's either it's a popcorn flick or it's an Oscar-worthy, like deep dramatic artistic piece. There's 1,001 movies in between those two extremes that we don't have the language to talk about, like Groundhog Day. That is a deep, moving film about a dude who is a fucking jackass and hilarious half the time. Same thing with The Truman Show.
It's true. Media is on a spectrum.
Would That just reminded me of a movie with Will Ferrell in it, and I've forgotten the name of the movie.
Stranger Than Fiction?
Yes. I love that movie.
Yeah, no, that's
Similar.
a good... Yeah. I'd say similar to that, too, but, like, there's also, like, really good dramatic movies that aren't, like... that aren't the Oscar bait kind of, like, this is art for art's sake. Like, there's stuff like The Lighthouse and things like that. Like,
Yeah.
This is a movie that takes the premise seriously, even though the premise has some slight goofiness to it. Just has some genre flick to it. But it takes itself seriously. It takes the subject matter it's dealing with seriously, so it feels more genuine.
One more thing that I'd like to say about the art style, because it's something that I've always, and the picture I posted goes with it well, and it did remind me. This movie has a tendency to move from, it's like a warm color, like it starts off with like yellows and goes into an orange with like sunsets and stuff like that, and it does end with like the red and then like white. And I've always liked just like the orange skies. I've always remembered the scenes where like you see the orange or the yellow of the forest around him, just like the lighting. Just I don't know. It's comforting, I guess, now because I'm so nostalgic for the film. But I mean, you can't see a picture with the Iron Giant in it just about unless it's at night, without seeing some of that color just about.
Yeah, it is a movie couched in the idea of fall and winter.
Yeah, and I love how it runs the entire spectrum of it's very clearly the beginning of fall and sort of the start of the movie. And the movie only runs over the course of a couple of days, but by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's snowing. And like I don't know, that just it works for me because I am definitely a fall winter sort of guy.
Almost a nuclear winter, but
yeah, there is that imagery in there because this movie's couched in the Red Scare, Cold War of the 50s.
And you do get your Cold War at the end of the movie.
It should also be noted that like this movie has made tons of amazing fan art happen. Like as I'm scrolling through this Google image search I've been using for visual reference while we're talking, there's just so many great like artist takes on what the giant can look like in different settings for him. It doesn't surprise me that that's a thing. However, I didn't know it was a thing.
I mean, if you want to like be as like upfront about that as possible, I'd say like it's a good hero movie. But I mean, as much in common as it could have with Superman, I think it actually doesn't have that much with like the story of Superman. He chooses to be a hero like Superman, but Superman was never like you're a weapon. Like Superman was a danger whenever he was growing up, but like I don't know, like Iron Giant saves the day from like humanity essentially, and the weapons of humanity. Superman. I mean, I'm sure you could argue back and forth, but I'm probably in the camp of.
I think a better description would be is the best movie about Superman.
Maybe
I don't know, man, because I
don't want to say that it's about Superman. It's about being like.
It's about
making the right decision and being a hero, and like that's something that's always stuck with me about the movie. Like, it could have been anybody, but it just happened to be Superman.
But I think so. I think Superman's a much more integral part than you're kind of making it out to be.
Especially it is because he can fly and everything. Like,
no, it's more the idea that it's Superman is a being from the stars who comes to this place and it accepts it and welcomes it as his own. And the Iron Giant goes through that same journey of coming from a place, not knowing who he is, not knowing what's going on, but seeing the warmth of humanity and learning, and then going, all right, I want to protect these people.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying there's not, like, I mean, it's not a one-to-one.
It's a parallel.
I'm just being a stickler because, like, I love the fact that like he wants to be a hero like that he looks at that like that. Yeah, a parallel's nice. That's a nice way to say it.
But I'm also just thinking like there's no other superhero that could really fit that same inspirational role because every other hero is a different version of that just core concept of you are not one of them, but you want to protect them because they're nice people. There's goodness in the world, you know?
Yeah. However, I love Christopher Reeve's original Superman, so I don't know if I could put this movie above that.
But I'm just saying, it's just more of like a general, like, if you take the core themes and ideas of Superman and just break it away from the idea of Superman, this is one of the best executions of those core themes and ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, looking at it in that way, I kind of get where you're hitting at, and I think that's a fair way to put it.
But I mean, I totally get where you're going from this because, like, in the same way, when people say like The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie, I go like, but it's not a Fantastic Four movie.
Mm-hmm. It's like I get why you're saying that, but that feels dismissive of the actual property, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I would say I'm not a person who fully believes that. I think this is a great movie about the concept of Superman.
Mm-hmm. And I will definitely agree with that when you put it that way.
Because I've seen people say, like, this is the best movie because they don't understand Superman.
Connected.
Okay.
Sorry about that. We are connected. We're connected and talking about a movie.
Speaking of which, do we have anything else to say about this movie before we wrap up?
I think that's about it.
I love the fan art where the Iron Giant gets to meet Superman.
My favorite fan art is the one where he's a Russian mafia member.
I've always liked the Slav. That doesn't mean he's part of the mafia. That's just a popular thing to do, and like that's how you dress. And
okay, I didn't know. I was not culturally aware. Also, here's a great picture of Brad Bird with an Iron Giant toy.
Yeah.
I think that's the Mondo one.
I want the Mondo one so bad, dude.
Yeah, no, that's just how honestly, that's just how you're supposed to squat. A lot of cultures do that. Like Asian cultures do it, Slavic cultures do it.
One thing I've always loved, especially as a kid, is like the little like screw at the end. I mean, it's his jaw screw, but like I think NECA or somebody did a 1-to-1 scale replica of that screw. That
Damn.
does light up. Yeah, they did do it.
I mean, it's such an
Mondo
easy
did
like
it.
little prop that you could make. Like,
It was $65.
That's probably a fair price, actually.
if it was like all metal and shit, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's good. I now see that a lot of people have that as a tattoo, and that was something I was thinking about doing. So now I'm well,
All right. Well, do we want to go ahead and move on then to what we're going to be talking about next week?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be the Country Bears, the 2002 live action Disney movie.
Oh, I hope it's the Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live action movie. But here we go. I have updated it already while we were talking, and we added in the Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live action movie, and I'm going to spin it right now. It'll be nice when you guys can actually see this and know that it exists at the summit.
oh yeah. I mean, part of me is just like, oh, you're just winging it the whole time, you know.
Okay, next time we're finally moving away from stuff that I put on the list. It's going to be a Chris suggestion. We are talking about the first volume of Ultimo.
Oh shit! Okay,
Why do you say it like that?
because it took my brain a second to remember what the fuck that I was putting down. This is the manga created by Stan Lee.
Oh dear.
Stan Lee's also in the manga. He plays the bad guy.
I see the character.
How long is the first volume? Do we know?
It's a
About an
typical
hour
manga
long.
volume. It's a typical manga volume. So like, so you remember how long My Hero Academia was? It's about that long.
Okay. Well, then
I
you'll
think-
need to send us a link to read it, Chris.
You know.
Yeah.
Do I read this in dub or sub?
Can you read Japanese? Because if so, like shit, man, I didn't know you had that kind of skills.
Yeah.
It's also drawn by the dude who did Shaman King, I think.
Oh,
I
that's
love Shaman King.
I'm pretty sure he did it. So I'm pulling it up because there's not many official channels for it. It never really got. I don't think it ever got a major official translation. So
I'm looking at images of it now. This art style is fucking weird.
yeah, the concept's a little fucking weird too.
Oh boy.
But we'll get into that.
Next time on Analytical Fanboys. But then the podcast keeps going because Chris did the fucking AEW All Out Go Home episode. That was this week. That was a thing.
Fuck yeah, so good. I can't wait because we're gonna fucking watch the pay-per-view right after we're done with this.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how certain things go. Though I'll be honest, I was just a little let down by this as a go home episode. I didn't think it did quite enough to get me hyped for the pay-per-view.
I think they were trying to hype so many things that they weren't able to focus on certain things.
Yeah, like I've been excited for that match, but Thunder Rosa getting her in-ring debut in this episode and just fighting some Randy, that felt a little like last minute.
Here's the thing though. She isn't just some Randy.
Oh?
She's a former WWE wrestler who was an NXT coach. She was part of the Straight Edge Society.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I've been seeing an article saying a former WWE star made their debut on SmackDown or on Dynamite being suggested to me recently.
I really enjoyed that match. I thought it was one of the best matches of the night.
Oh no, it was a good match. It just felt kind of random. Like, why is Thunder Rosa making her in-ring debut here when she could just do it during the actual match? Be like, no, I'm an NWA talent. I'm just here to fight your champion.
I think it's in part was just to kind of give the audience a feel of Thunder Rosa and not just say like, oh, she's great. And like put the pudding where the proof is.
Yeah. And I mean, I did love her entrance theme.
Yeah.
Uh,
But no, that was great. I love the whole everybody putting their dicks on the table for the casino battle royale, and
That
Jake Roberts just saying "bust a nut," and then having to see Lance Archer just try and keep character.
Yeah. And I kept thinking like, oh, here comes that person. They're gonna clean house, and that's gonna be the end of the angle. But no, it was just constantly more and more people in the ring to the point where I was like, how are they gonna transition out of this?
Yeah, no, it was fun. I enjoy all the stuff they're building for the 8-man tag with Dark Order and Nightmare Family.
That was great. I loved QT's promo last week and the big hype package we got this week with that little bit of new footage of Matt cutting a promo. Oh, that was good. That was great. Very much looking forward to that match. And freaking my boy Smart Mark coming out and just doing like one of the best comedy matches I've seen since Orange Cassidy versus Pac.
I kind of want to just watch the podcast, their podcast, just for him.
Yeah, he's great. He kind of like, it's funny because like this is neither here nor there in relation to AEW, but on that podcast, like Matt Cardona is very much an all over the place kind of. He stays on the ball as far as plugging shit, but he kind of goes all over the place topic wise. And Brian is just kind of whatever. But Mark is the producer, so he's keeping them both in line, and it's fun to watch that dynamic or listen to it, I should say.
MJF looked fucking sick at the end.
I liked him throwing away the walker and the brace, but the just constant beatdown and just raising up the title, I was like, this is a go home angle everybody has seen 1,000 times. I mean, I don't know what else you could have done, but I feel like you could have done something more interesting.
Yeah, it could have, but like still, it was fun to see. I think it was fun because MJF is kind of leans more on the comedy character because he is so quippy. That to see him get ruthless for a second is like, oh, that's fun. That's cool.
Yeah, and I did love. Go ahead.
It shows that he is something of a threat.
Yeah, and I did love Wardlow being on the outside of the ring for the entire segment, just going like, Jesus fucking Christ, is this really my life right now?
Also, that opening tag, 4-man tag, 8-man tag was fucking great.
Yeah.
With the Bucks and Jurassic Express and like just the Bucks not giving a fucking
They
shit.
Are still pissed off. And then Kenny coming out for an interview and actually cutting a pretty good promo. That was very surprising and very good.
A very cleaner-esque promo.
I mean, like, because the thing is, okay, hot take, Kenny is my least favorite member of the Elite. Like, the story so far has been about Hangman, how Hangman is seen as the other guy in the Elite. Because I didn't know the Elite until All Elite Wrestling started, and I've had to go back and catch up on stuff. I've found Kenny to be kind of the boring one because he's just kind of a plain boy who's focused on having good matches and keeping the group together and being his friend. And with this segment, they leaned into that so hard. And they've been doing that subtly in the story so far, but now bringing it to the forefront of like, FTR's coming out and teasing him, and he's like, yeah, guys, yeah, I do enjoy drinking milk. Yeah, I do love chocolate milk. Yeah, I do like having good matches and not doing stupid shit on the side, and I do just want my friends to be together and be nice. Why should that be a problem? I was like, oh, damn. Oh, okay, Kenny, I'm invested in your part of the story now.
And then Hangman comes out, and they fucking do the whole shit. And then he picks up the belt, tries to hand it to Kenny. Kenny's just not there. And it's just like perfect like storytelling.
I mean, some shit is going down tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see what. I would be My prediction is that FTR are walking out with the straps, and for one reason or another, Kenny's going to turn cleaner on Hangman.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll find out in an hour or so.
Yeah. You'll already know by the time you're hearing this, but we're going to find out in a little bit. And, oh God, was there anything else on this episode?
Swole versus Britt's going to be a cinematic match.
Is it? I heard it was going to be on the buy-in.
No, it is a cinematic match, and that's why it was going to be on the buy-in, because Tony Khan was like, hey, these guys are paying for tickets. They don't want to watch something on the screen. But then people were complaining, is like, oh, your longest running women's storyline is just going to be on the buy-in. Fucking lame. So they put it on the regular show.
That's good, because I was a little bit upset about that, and I'm glad you reminded me to talk about it.
It makes total sense why they put it on the buy-in, though.
It does, but also it's like, this is the thing that you've been advertising for All Out for the longest, and it's the one that I consistently saw reviewers saying they were invested in as far as the women's division goes. So then putting it on the buy-in kind of adds fuel to the fire of reviewers also saying that AEW doesn't care about its women's division.
AEW cares, but like when they say like, oh, they just don't care about it, I'm just going like, they were already working with a women's division one hand tied behind their back, because WWE and Impact have so many great women and have already established women's divisions that can entice them to women to go to their promotion. And then on top of it, they had to take their other hand behind their back because, oh shit, there's COVID, and they have a policy of, you don't want to come, you don't have to. So a lot of people just were like, nah, fuck that. And they were like, okay, cool. And they couldn't get any of their international wrestlers, which is like 1/3 of their women's division, because they're all Joshi.
Yeah, I know that, and you know that, but like, I think a lot of other people haven't internalized that is the problem. So whenever I see something that could potentially add fuel to that fire of AEW doesn't care about their women's division, I'm like, oh no.
Accent. You said that in the wrong accent.
No, I said it in the YouTube troll accent, which is the one they fucking deserve, in my opinion. But whenever I see something that could potentially add fuel to that fire, I'm like even more worried about it than I normally would be right now.
Yeah, I can understand it, but like, there's several interesting women's division storylines. It's just much more individualized versus conflict between other people.
Yeah. Oh, something I completely forgot to mention during that Casino Battle Royal advertisement, the way Sean Spears came out and just kind of walked across the stage and just looked at everybody. Nobody noticed him. They were promoing off of each other, and Sean Spears just kind of walks around the back and looks with sunglasses on, like, all right, y'all keep fighting. I'm gonna walk in and steal this thing when it actually happens. That made me like really invested in him again, because I got the fantasy booking idea of like, well, what if he does win it? Because he's established as a gambling buddy of MJF's. Imagine if this is how they turn Sean Spears babyface again. There's a promo of MJF is celebrating. He's won the belt at All Out. On the next Dynamite, he's celebrating, and then Sean Spears comes out and he's like, Sean, buddy, my gambling pal, what's up, dude? Oh man, it's so great that you won the Casino Battle Royale, but you're gonna totally lie down for me, right? You're gonna lie down, you're gonna take that pin, I'll give you a spot in my cabinet, just lie down, just take the pin, I can get you away from the old guy, just lie down. And he's just like, no, I've been busting my ass on Dark, and I just earned this spot. I'm going to kick your ass and take that belt. Like, how awesome would that be?
I want to bet on myself.
Yeah. How awesome would that be?
Yeah, it'd be really cool. But, yeah, that was Dynamite. I watched the first 30 minutes of the All Out red carpet, and there were some cool segments there.
I had not had time to watch that because I have been very busy the last 2 days. But you told me about that thing with the Dark Order, which is fun.
Yeah, and there was another cool moment with Brandy where she was like hyping up the 8-man tag Dark Order versus Nightmare Family, and she was going through like, oh yeah, QT Marshall, we helped him. Dustin Rhodes is 50 and he's at the top of his game. Scorpio Sky's one of the best young guys in the roster, and Matt Cardona. People have been waiting 90 days to see what he can do.
Was Brandy actually there, or was it like a remote thing?
It was a red carpet. She was on the red carpet. She was right next to Dasha Gonzalez and Tony Schiavone.
Okay, that's actually kind of surprising because I thought her and Cody both would be in Georgia indefinitely doing that Stephen Amell thing.
No, she was there, and she started planting seeds for another women's story of going after the Dark Order chick who choked her out.
Hell yeah, I'd be down for that. But yeah, I think that's all there is to say on Dynamite until next week after we've actually seen All Out. So why don't we go to Cody for a weekly vibe?
Trying to think of what it should be exactly. Probably the obvious thing is I started and finished the main portion campaign of the Avengers video game.
Is that actually out, or is it a beta?
It's out. It officially came out on the 4th. Because I pre-ordered it, I got to play it early. If you're on the fence about it, I'd say go do it. It's fun. If you got friends to play that shit with, it is a bunch of fun to play. The characters are very properly realized. I don't know. I just think it's a good, nice overall experience.
I just had a thought. Is it like just a more AAA version of the Ultimate Alliance games?
Almost. Me and Jake make that reference a lot, but it falls. It's not trying to be that, but it kind of is.
Like Ultimate Alliance is like a straight up Diablo-esque dungeon crawler.
Yeah, and I mean this kind of is. It's not quite a dungeon crawler, but it kind of is.
Isn't it kind of like a looty shooty-esque game, kind of like Borderlands?
A little bit. I don't know. It's kind of hard because like not all the characters are shooty, but it's definitely like you're.
But I mean, it's that loop of go together as a team, go accomplish a goal, get some reward.
But it is a living game, and one thing that it proved is though they are doing their own take of things, they also are 100% acknowledging like. The comics are a thing for a reason. Like those stories are successful for a reason, and it's not like MCU version of like it's kind of like the comics are like we pulled from this, and this, and like it doesn't quite feel that way. Like no, this feels like what I want the MCU to feel like almost. Where like,
excuse me,
I don't want to say anything to like give shit away, but like it kind of does feel like the Ultimate Alliance in the ways of like, oh, I'm in this little section of Marvel. This is pretty cool to see, you know, like, and I think because it is a living game, they're going to constantly be adding things. I have a feeling it's going to be going further in that direction than we realize at the moment. So,
well, I mean, there's a ton of things they could add. Just the brief ways you described it, as like Kang the Conqueror would be cool.
Yeah.
Ronan the Accuser.
Oh, they could definitely do Ronan.
Mojo would be fun. Come on, you wouldn't want to fight.
Guy.
I just love Mojo. He's one of my favorite Marvel fans. I just want to see Mojo in more things. Give me Mojo.
I only know Mojo from one thing. He was in a Gambit and Rogue storyline.
You don't like the fat yellow man with spider legs?
I mean, not design-wise, no, but I think he's an interesting concept that you could do more with, but also he feels very much like something out of a Saturday morning cartoon.
Like, just imagine Mojo, but instead of making TV shows, he's making video games.
That's a fair point.
Or arcade. Arcade could be a cool thing for, like, challenge mode.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I know we're getting Spider-Man for the game, and they're doing their own take with that. It's not going to be PS4 Spider-Man, which I find very interesting.
And I know you talked earlier about there being Hawkeye, Marvel, and Marvel.
Oh yeah, well there's a longer list. They're gonna kind of do an Ultimate Alliance thing where like there's some characters that are just kind of gonna be a little bit of a palette swap. As in like they're gonna put War Machine in there. That's what they say. I think there was a rumor that they might do She-Hulk.
Okay.
They're doing a Doctor Strange. He's on the list, which will be awesome. We never get to see him in anything.
We even see his bad guys in games more than we see him.
Yeah.
Remember the tentacle thing from Marvel vs. Capcom? That's a Doctor Strange baddie.
Yeah.
I was saying that more for the audience to know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Have they said anything about Ghost Rider?
He's not. Well, the list that got leaked was data mined from the game, and he's not on it. But God, I fucking wish, man. We never like they. Fuck.
Wait a second. They're in San Francisco, and they don't have one of the characters that is oftentimes associated with San Francisco, Daredevil. Like there are several runs where Daredevil's in San Fran.
I didn't realize that.
That's how the Mark Waid run ends, and that was great. Mark, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but like Mark Waid Daredevil was one of the first Marvel runs I really got into.
Or Moon Knight. Moon Knight's often in California.
That's true.
They could do a Moon Knight, but I don't think they're going. Let me just try to look up the list real quick.
Instead of us just fucking speculating and going like comic books.
Is this person in the game?
Is Sleepwalker in this game?
What about Darkhawk? Does Darkhawk make a cameo?
3D Man?
Titania? Is Titania in this game?
I want Rage. Can you give me
Stop
Rage?
giggling.
How many
According
more?
to the data mine, Ant-Man, Black Panther. Ant-Man thing is skeptical. This is from before the game came out. He's in the game, but he's like, it's just Hank Pym. Unless they add him as a playable thing. Like, I mean, he's a big part of the thing. Like, he's one of the hubs you can go to. You can be on the helicarrier. You can go to what's called the Anthill, because we just thought the people that are there nicknamed it the Anthill because Ant-Man is the person that runs it. And then later I realized, I was like, oh no, there's tunnels all over the walls of giant ants running through this and help building this thing. It's a giant anthill. That's why it's called the Anthill. Jesus Christ, it's awesome.
I mean, they could always do the second Ant-Man instead.
Anyways, here's what we got. Black Panther, which is definitely happening. Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Falcon, Kate Bishop, Marvel, Mockingbird, Quake, Scarlet Witch, She-Hulk, Vision, War Machine, Wasp, and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, a lot of those I can see as just like general like character swaps because like Black Widow, Mockingbird, kind of similar.
Yeah. See, a lot of them would be a little bit, and which is fine because I mean they let you also play as another character.
And Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch can probably share a lot of things.
Yeah.
Marvel.
Winter Soldier Cap to some extent. But Falcon, they're doing Falcon and Winter Soldier, who knows?
Yeah. Still no mutants.
No. Quake
I wonder
almost.
if this game No, she's Inhuman, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in
Yeah,
Human.
she is Inhuman.
But like I want to push it that way just a little bit, just teach you it, but still, I get it.
But like, maybe all the characters were still being made during the mutant moratorium
It's
when
possible.
Marvel was being dickbags about mutants because Fox owned them. This game's been in development for a while.
That is true. Excuse me again.
But like,
anyways, it's a good game. Is my main thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear because I've never heard anything but lukewarm opinions on that game, mainly because of its aesthetic. So I'm glad to hear it turned out okay.
Oh, that's my one downside. They did Cap dirty when it comes to his outfits. Everyone else has good outfits. Joe Fixit for Hulk, like fuck, man, I love that. There's so many different variations of Joe Fixit as well. But there's also a lot of good Hulk skins right now. There's a lot of variations on his like color of his actual skin. So you have one that kind of looks like that plays with his hair a little bit and kind of looks like Lou Ferrigno's Hulk, just by color palette. You have various types of you have ones that could represent various types of artists and how they've depicted the Hulk over the years with the different shades of green or gray or whatever.
mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Is there like OG Professor Hulk giant burgundy jumpsuit?
No, there is not.
That'd be cool.
They haven't done anything like that, dude. If I could get a 90s Smart Hulk, man, I'd be so about it.
Maestro? Has there been a Maestro costume? Or any hints of it?
The only out of the blue thing that they do is they do a Gladiator Hulk. But it is very much a Gladiator Hulk. He doesn't have like the metal arm. He has armor on his arm, but it's not metal. It's like leather down the side of it. I mean, it's definitely what it's supposed to be. But it's their own version of it.
I can get that, but like, come on.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Even like the skins that they have in the game that are like, this is what this is. It's like, it's their version. Like they did Original Sin Iron Man, and they have a couple of skins of that, but it's like it is and isn't. It looks very close to the Original Sin, but it's meant to like fit in game universe. So it looks a little tweaked just a little bit. Unfortunately, the skin that they did for Cap for that one is was it Nick Spencer, Phil Spencer, whatever. It's the one who turns into the Nazi Cap.
Oh, Nick Spencer.
Yeah, Nick Spencer. It's that version of Cap that they did.
It's pre-Secret Empire.
Mm-hmm. But it's that outfit. Yeah,
well, I do like that outfit.
I mean, it's not quite that outfit. It would have been better if it was that outfit, honestly.
I mean, there's not a ton of variations on Captain America's costume that you can do. It's either the classic dragon scales, the ultimate version, Nomad. Give me Nomad.
Hell yeah!
When I say like how Captain America looks in this game, he's wearing tactical gear. He's wearing SWAT like knee pads and like bulletproof vests and like he's literally wearing SWAT outfit. He looks like a tactical SWAT guy who also likes Captain America. The Nick Spencer version of it looks better by a lot, but it doesn't also look like from the comic. You could tell that it was inspired by it, but it's like their hyper detailed version of that. There's another one that looks closer to a movie Cap. However, there is no classic Captain America. Like there's the ultimate World War II pre-order skin that I have, which kind of has a funny. I'd play it a lot more if it wasn't for the fact that he still uses his modern shield while using it, which I get, but also like, come on. And B, that skin has a very horrible bug where his eyes roll out of his face when you equip it.
Oh boy.
It's really weird. But yeah, no, there's no like Captain America with wings. Like their default version of Cap barely has any white on him. It's just like all blue with like 2 white stripes down the middle of his ab section, 2 thin red lines, and like the star. And like even the shield in universe that he has is different. It's not his classic shield. Like essentially, it's his third shield. It's not his World War II shield, and it's not his round shield. It's his new shield. And the stars are stretching out past the blue center. And in game, they're like, yeah, that's because like he's using that shield because it's supposed to represent them going to the West Coast and expanding the Avengers Initiative, essentially. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like you guys just like the design for the shield and you wanted to put some bullshit in there, but whatever, you know. Like, it's just weird. There's a lot of weird, like him as a character. He's like he's far more Captain America than like anything I've seen. Like he says, there's so many times where he says shit, and I'm just like, oh my god, please, yes. Like when he activates his ultimate, he says, "No, you move."
Hey.
Like, there's so much good about all the characters. It's just like it's hard to find like a good Cap skin. His best skins and the ones that I use the most is his whenever he's in the Shield agent uniform. Because they have that in there. But they're gonna be adding more. There's gonna be more indefinitely, and I know we'll probably eventually get it when they do. I mean, I already do play Cap a lot. I play them all. Every character's fun to play, literally. But I don't know. I'm just a hardcore stickler about that. Like, he doesn't look that good.
Yeah. It seems like they may have had like a giant sign while developing the characters. It's like spandex is dumb, don't do it.
Yeah, I think that definitely is the biggest problem with that game from what I can see is like a lot of those designs do not appeal to me at all.
Literally every other character has amazing skins and like looks fine to me.
Yeah, but every other character doesn't wear traditional spandex costumes.
Yeah, but like there's a skin in the game. It's the one that kind of looks like Movie Cap, where like the white on his arms and the red on his gloves, like you could tell it's updated, but like the white is still like canvas. It looks like canvas. And like they had the potential to do that, and then like it has the dragon scales, except they're like toned down a little bit. It's just weird. It's just very strange. Because I mean, like fucking Kamala Khan, her outfit is straight up like kind of spandex. It kind of just is that, except it's got a dress on it.
But I don't like how they changed the colors on it.
But I mean, there's also skins in the game that like alleviate that. And even that kind of negates it. It kind of like throws itself out the window because in her room at the beginning of the game, she has a bunch of Miss Marvel stuff up. Well, no, she has 2 things. She has all the Avengers stuff, but her favorite character is Captain Marvel. But there's also a Miss Marvel poster, as in like the S on her chest and like the black with like the little red sash. You know, like classic Miss Marvel, not Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel, like so, and like that's like literally like 100% like done. It looks like the comic, and also Miss Marvel's regular outfit kind of looks like that. Oh, one other thing, Thor has outfits that are based off of his appearance in the Lou Ferrigno thing. It looks badass. I don't know.
Does Iron Man have one? Because Iron Man was also in a Lou Ferrigno Hulk movie.
Not fucking Garbage Can Man.
Garbage Can Me.
I forgot about Garbage Can Man.
I will say the different suits for Iron Man. Like my pre-order bonus was like the Mark 1, which is like their version of the Mark 1. Still looks cool. Still looks a lot like the Mark 1. It's just less like barrel chest and more like giant clunky suit. It's it moves clunkier than all the other ones. Most of his suits have different sounds and movement styles for him whenever you're walking around. There's a lot of detail about stuff like that in the game. The Incredible Hulk has some of the biggest cheeks I've ever seen on any human or anything at all in my life. I like broke down to tears when I first saw him like bent over in the helicarrier.
I thought you were talking about his face for a second.
No, his ass. Like,
he's dummy thick.
I posted pictures on my dude. Like it.
I did see those Instagram posts.
Jake made a joke about it, and I just thought he was being like Jake, and then like we're like loading into a match, and he is just fucking out there. They are just trying to like go after something. I don't know, man. They're just like doing it, and like I saw it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Is there something wrong with the model? Like, and I just started losing my mind because like he's got like some big ass, like he's got some big old cheeks, man.
Them are some childbearing hips, man.
Man, he like it's a different kind of thunderclap is what he'd be capable of. It's ridiculous. Like,
I mean, Cody, it must feel nice to have some representation in video games now.
Honestly. Also, the Hulk can get into the Hulkbuster suit, so you know,
It's dope.
Anybody can, but more importantly, the Hulk can. But yeah, enough about that video game that I'm going to be playing after we end this. Someone else.
Yeah, Chris, what's your vibe?
I just wanted to read some manga this week, so I decided to go back, find the place where I was, and restart reading Kinnikuman.
Oh, how's that going for you?
It's fun. I'm in one of the last story arcs from the original 80s run of the manga. So, do you know the basic premise of Kinnikuman?
He is a wrestler. It's a comedy, I think.
It started off as a superhero parody, but then he did an arc about wrestling, and it was really popular. And it's just like, fuck it, I'll do wrestling. So it's become superhuman wrestling, and they fight a bunch of different wrestlers and a bunch of different story arcs. And eventually it comes out that, Kinnikuman is actually the prince of a far-off place and kingdom, and he is next in line for the throne. His dad goes like, you know what? He's been beating all these bad guys. He won the belt. He won the tag team tournament. You know what? I think he's ready to be king.
So he's King Kinnikuman now?
No. He has to be approved by the 105 Chojin gods. Chojin is just the translation's version of like superhuman. Okay. So 100 of the Chojin gods go like, yeah, no, he's fucking dope. Kinnikuman all the way. Let's go. 5 of them, though, are the evil Chojin gods. And they realize in a retcon that, oh my god, Kinnikuman's mom might have accidentally swapped the baby because there was a fire at the hospital when he was born, and there were 5 other babies that looked like him. All the mother gotten swapped. So the 5 evil gods go like, all right, we each pick one of them, give them some of our power, and just fucking destroy Kinnikuman. That's our plan.
This is turning out to be very Power Rangers-like.
Oh no, it gets better. So basically, they have a Survivor Series tournament.
Hell yeah!
It's like 5-on-5 team elimination matches. But right before this whole thing happens, oh shit, Kinnikuman's best friends got jobs in the Chojin Alliance thing, and they have to be neutral for this whole thing and can't be part of Kinnikuman's team because they have to be impartial. And so they're listening and watching Kinnikuman get beat the fuck up, and everybody around them's going like, go help your friend, dumbasses. And they're going like, no, I need to be impartial. And then they just go like, fuck that, and they just run after him.
As you do.
Also, one of them's American, and he's named Terry, and he's inspired by the Terry Funk.
I
One of the bad guys they fought in the previous arc was basically Hulk Hogan.
yes.
I think he was Neptune Man.
I am also a big fan of Ultimate Muscle.
See, here's the thing. Ultimate Muscle is the sequel series. The main character in that is the son of this Kinniku Man.
Oh.
I think you have told me that before.
Yeah. So this is like a prequel to that. And so you're going through all this, and they all look like Muscle Man, but like with different Kinniku Man with like different bits and pieces. So this is the guy who looks like he's basically Hulk Hogan.
Oddly, he reminds me more of Warhorse, but then again, Warhorse is supposed to be a throwback to guys like Hulk Hogan.
I mean,
Yeah.
he does look a lot like Hulk Hogan. Like isn't there a guy named Terry Bull? Is that the Terry?
No,
Funk guy?
Terry Bull is a character in it. I can't remember. Brutal Trojan. No, I want Phoenix Man. Okay, here's one of the guys. This guy is called Kinniku Man Big Body. So let me get it ready for you. But basically, it's like they all are kind of like alt costumes of Kinniku Man. So this is Kinniku Man Big Body, who was gifted the power of strength.
It's Beta Smash from Ultraman.
Yeah, but like,
It's- Kirby after the gym.
yeah. But there's also Kinniku Man Super Phoenix, who's like the bigger bad of the arc so far, because he's smart and actually knows shit, and it's not just following along with the plan. He is, but like it's to his own means. But then there's also, let me see if I can get one guy in specific. Here it is. So here's the thing. You can understand, like, oh, big body, he's strong. Oh, the Phoenix, he's like powerful. All this kind of stuff. Then there's this guy who is called Kinniku Man Zebra.
Okay.
Just one of them's randomly a zebra.
Could that potentially be a Zebra Batman homage?
Maybe, but he see. Here's the thing: each of these like evil Kinniku Man were given power from an evil god. So like one of them is strength. One of them is the first one is strength. Big body is strength. Phoenix is intelligence. He's smart. Zebra is technique. He's a technical wrestler. And then there's this guy who has the best fucking costume. He's the best of these evil Kinniku Man. It's just great. He is Kinniku Man Army.
Dude. I want one.
He is sick.
Where's my Super 7 Kinniku Man army?
Oh no,
There are
dude!
good
There,
figures of a lot of these. Not
yeah,
all.
there's a lot of good figures of Kinniku Man. Like I want to get several of them.
There's SH Fig Arts that I think about buying all the time just because I appreciate what it is.
But yeah, no, like I'm reading the arc with this, so there's all that kind of stuff. Hold on, I'm being hailed.
Oh dear.
At this hour?
Hold on to our bums.
But yeah, that's Kinniku Man so far.
Nice.
What I've been reading. It's really good, and it is pre-Dragon Ball, and it does basically everything Dragon Ball and like all these battles Shonen did. It's like power of friendship, deep burning inner strength, and all that kind of stuff. Way before anything like that did. But
right.
I need to go handle something real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, well then I'll just go on to my vibe then, which is you know what? It's been a bit of a busy week for me. I haven't really had a lot of time for consuming media, but I did shortly before we got on to record this episode, I did watch this week's episode of Ultraman Z, and that was pretty tight. It was a major like fleshing out and developmental episode for the main character Haruki, where we found out that much like most tokusatsu protagonists and indeed superheroes in general, his dad dead. His dad's super dead. But they actually made it a big part of building Ultraman continuity because his dad died in a monster attack that happened way back when Haruki was a kid. Because much like Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Power Rangers, and most other big tokusatsu franchise, Ultraman is one long-running continuity for the most part. So monster attacks have been a common threat in this world for a very long time. And so to have a current Ultraman have his dad having died in a past monster attack makes sense and is actually a really cool idea, especially because the way his dad died, they were out camping at this like public campsite with a bunch of other families, and his dad like sacrificed himself to get a bunch of other people to safety, and like the last thing he ever said to Haruki was take care of your mom, help keep people safe, that kind of thing. You got to be a man now. It was one of those kind of like father son goodbyes, and it is very emotional, and it did get me a bit. And it helped explain a lot of how Haruki is as a character, because we also got some other flashbacks to him and his dad interacting with a pretty decent child actor for Haruki, that established that his dad was a bit of a goofball, but when things got tough, he was able to get really tough as well and take care of things. And his mom actually comments at one point that, like, even though Haruki is a bit of a goofball protagonist, he used to be a lot softer, and he's toughened up as he's grown into adulthood. And seeing that now and seeing where that comes from is a really cool thing. I dig them doing that with the character and like actually establishing that this wasn't just an archetype that now we're slowly developing into a fully fleshed out character. This is a person with a backstory that has come from a place, and this is just a small part of his journey as a person that we're viewing through this show. And also they set up some potentially really cool concepts going forward. Like a couple episodes, they captured an alien robot that had the ability to separate, and apparently is like a thing from old Ultraman shows. It's King Joe. Apparently he was from like one of the original couple Ultraman shows. And they remodeled him and sort of appropriated the technology for the good guy forces, and now he's King Joe Storage Custom, and he's assisting Ultraman in battle, but also the technology is slightly beyond them, so they can't quite control it yet. And there was a whole thing they did with the monster, where the monster was actually trying to protect its young all along, kind of like how the flashbacks we were having to Haruki's backstory. And it was a nice sort of deeper, much more nuanced take on a standard monster of the week plot that than I usually see from tokusatsu. It brought in a lot of interesting story ideas that I dug quite a bit, and I'm excited to see where this series goes next week. Is Chris back yet? He's back.
He is.
All right. Well, you're back just in time to, hey, why don't you tell everybody what you do and where they can find it if you want them to?
Me?
Yeah. Go.
Hi, I'm Chris Boyer Gaston. I make YouTube editorial. I make YouTube editorial essay videos.
Have you made one about the Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live-action movie yet?
I have not made one about the Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live-action movie yet. Maybe one day I will do a video essay about the Country Bears 2002 live-action Disney movie. But until then, I talk about anime, talk about tokusatsu, talk about just general stuff I like. You can find my stuff in the link to the description below to my channel, but you can also just search on YouTube for Boingo Writer. I am on Twitter, and I am on Instagram as Boingo_writer. And if you want, you can join my Discord server. Link to that's in the description. Hey, we're all in it.
Yes.
We
would like to play. Remember that? Remember those ads?
Yeah, I have a Wii.
Yeah, I did. And then I got tired of it and sold it. Hey, Snowcone, tell everybody what you do and where they can find it if you want them to.
Hey, it's your boy Country Bears, the Disney movie 2005 83 fan here. And you can reach me at Twitter, which is at Country Bears the movie real. And my Twitch is Country Bears Gaming. So go ahead and hit me up on any of those. Yeah. And how about you, sir?
I am the Vacuuminator, your modular king of the content ring. I do toy reviews, blogs, and occasionally written analytical content. You can find me at youtube.com/thevacuuminator. That is spelled VACUUMINATOR if you don't know already. I'm also on the Twitter, although I'm not as much as I used to be. I've cut back on that quite a bit, but you can still find me at the Vacuuminator. And I'm on Instagram at the Vacuuminator, and I do all kinds of fun stuff there, and do all kinds of fun stuff here, just like we always try to do, because we here at Modular Media, we're always trying to get lots of great content out to you guys, and we hope you will join us next time for more of that great content, because next week on this podcast, we are going to be discussing the first volume of Ultimo. But until then,
subscribe to the channel so you can eventually see the fan podcast for Country Bears, the 2002 live-action Disney movie.
Yes, I was literally going to just end it by saying, until next time, the Country Bears, the 2002 Disney live-action movie.